to 30% of implementations, you have some or a lot of turnover. That said, you can kind of turn that around. That means 70 to 80% of implementations had only a little or no turnover at all. Now, that's a lot. That means that if you have 100 different companies that implement, 70 to 80 of them will have basically no problems with turnover. That's a pretty reassuring number, I think, actually. We asked people what was your biggest mistake in implementation, and people wrote essays. They wrote these depressed essays about their horrible management and their terrible mistakes and their awful this and their whatever else that. And we were very appreciative, actually. People were very, very candid. In fact, too much so in some cases. We had to edit down some of the responses to remove company names. You know, at my company, thus and such, this happened, and we said, oh, this is not good, let's take it out. So we redacted some of the company names when we published the report. But by far, the biggest issue that people cited was project management. Over and over and over again, they said things like, we underestimated the project, we did not understand the scope of the project, we did not plan. I saw that over and over and over again. We just jumped in and we didn't plan, and then it took 3 times as long as we thought, and then we missed our deadlines, and it was a mess. Not enough analysis. All these kinds of things that broadly fall under the category of project management were cited as the biggest mistake. So for those of you that are considering a structured authoring implementation, really take this into account. Your peers who have been through this are telling you that you need to plan and you need to do the project management and you need to make sure that these projects are managed correctly and that expectations are set correctly. We also had complaints about tools and technologies. We had complaints about very nearly everything, actually. And we had people saying it was more complicated than I thought. We had people saying it was easier than I thought. It was one of those the room is too cold, the room is too hot kinds of things, all over the place. But the thing that really did jump out at us was the chorus or litany of complaints about project management. So then we looked at the question of how can you improve outcomes? How can you make this more successful? And to do this, we did a deep dive into the data. And we looked at those success factors that I showed earlier. If reuse was ranked 1 or 2, how can we improve that 91% or that whatever percentage it was that said we did really well on reuse? And what we found after cross-tabulating every which way that we could possibly think of was that private customized training increased the implementation success. So when we looked at the people who had private customized training and we compared them to the people that did not have private customized training, the private custom training people had higher percentages of successful content reuse on the 7 factors that we've identified. So that was good. But they were small increases, 4 to 5% here and there. So instead of 91%, they might say 96%. And then we found the other piece in the data that was really quite disturbing. Having private customized training also correlated with increased change resistance. So the change resistance factors that we measured, turnover, hostility, concerns about productivity, all that stuff, those factors were increased when private customized training was present. Now, we don't know what the cause and effect relationship is there. It is certainly possible that bringing in people to do private custom training makes a group more aware of what direction this project is headed in, and that makes them cranky, and then they leave. Or they start resisting. Or perhaps it is that change resistance sort of simmers under the surface and is not exposed unless you have private custom training. Our personal favorite theory is that when an outsider comes in and does training and describes the expectations and describes where a particular project is headed, that it becomes very, very apparent to the people that are not excited about this which way the wind is blowing, and then they tend to leave. So it is not necessarily that custom training causes change resistance, it's that it exposes it. But you can draw your own conclusions from this data. We do not know exactly what is going on there. We also found some other interesting stuff. For instance, we found that use of FrameMaker as your authoring tool of choice in a structured authoring environment correlated with lowered change resistance. We believe that what's going on there is that because FrameMaker is perceived as familiar and popular, that people are happier about moving to FrameMaker than they are about moving to other tools. Now, that in and of itself is not the best reason I've ever heard for moving to FrameMaker, but it is out there as kind of an interesting factor that we really were not quite expecting to see, or at least not so blatantly. So what do you need to do? If you are looking at a structured authoring project or considering a structured authoring implementation, what are some of the things that we can draw from the survey and from the data that we picked up from people? First of all, you need to plan. It is quite clear from the responses that we got that planning often falls by the wayside and that it should not, that lack of planning causes all sorts of problems down the road. I think it's important to look at motivation. Why are you implementing structure? What is the reason for it? Because I do still hear people say, oh, I want to go to XML because it's new and it's shiny and it's beautiful. And, you know, look shiny object is not going to get you through an implementation that's going to take 6 to 12 months and a significant amount of time and effort and difficulty. So it is important to look at motivation and have a really good reason for implementing and some good understanding of what the metrics will be. We do have a white paper on this on our website that talks about the steps, the implementation steps that you might want to go through, and a lot of this is covered there. Training and education. I think it's important to provide training, to provide education, to explain to people why it is that you're doing this. Why are you moving to structure? What is the point? What, you know, why is the organization going in this direction? People do not like change. And they especially don't like change they don't understand. And they especially don't like change that takes away their familiar tools that they are competent in and puts them in new tools and technologies that they do not understand that they are not competent in. So supporting the content contributors, whether they're writers or part-time contributors, supporting them by providing training and education so that they understand where this process is going is important. We saw a lot of complaints around the development process not being well managed, not being well organized, not being planned again. So the development process needs to be planned and it needs to be done carefully. Legacy content migration is a huge issue. When you start talking about tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of pages of content that are in, let's say, Microsoft Word and need to be moved into an XML approach of some sort, we're talking about a huge amount of cost and a huge amount of effort there. It is usually not wise to have a writer's first exposure to structured authoring be the process of converting his or her content over to structure. That tends to make them very angry. So that's a consideration there. Tools and technologies. We did not call these out in the survey, but basically every tool that's out there that's available got criticized at some point by a respondent along the way. So respondent A would say tool B is horrible, and respondent B would say tool B is wonderful. So we can't really draw any conclusions about the tools and the technologies from the survey responses. Each tool has its fans and its detractors. What you need to do is look at the question of your tools and your technologies in your environment and your context. What is the best set of tools for what you are trying to do? And that may very well differ from the best set of tools for, you know, your friend who works at a different company down the street. You really need to pay attention to this and be careful. There were a lot of complaints about choosing the wrong tool and things like the vendor overpromised and then the tool couldn't do what we needed it to do, or we didn't know what we needed and then later we discovered that what we needed was not in there. So there are definitely some issues around that. And with that,